Hello and welcome to Season 3, Episode 2, almost, of That's So Fashion. I'm Chris.
And I'm John.
And we are joined by a most glorious of guests this episode, fellow Dressinationite, Daniel.
Hi.
Oh, look at you, adorable. Fellow knitter extraordinaire, dipping a toe into crochet, we'll get into that.
Can't wait.
Just incredible talent all around, really. So happy to have him as a guest on the pod. This is our knitting craft type episode where we talk all things fashion related but with a handmade element to it.
Yes.
We have some lovely questions to come to in Question Corner, as you love to call it.
Mm-hmm.
That's coined, you've done that now.
I know, it is Question Corner. It will forever be Question Corner.
You've made that.
I know.
I enjoy it, it's cute.
I know, I put my foot down, it's fine.
Yeah, great. I also quite like the off topic that it's not alliteration, but it's so close.
Yeah.
It's both got like anyway.
Yeah. I can't help it.
Yeah.
I just come up with these things.
You're just a genius all round, you know.
It's nice to be recognised.
Isn't it?
It is.
Game recognises game. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You, just to touch base in where we are currently, after last month's episode of our plans for the year, you've just come back from Canada.
I have.
Working your socks off.
I was. It's true. I just got back a week ago. I was in Toronto. I was there for 3 weeks. It was great. I had some personal things to do at Service Ontario. And then the rest of the time was just doing toiles and measuring and pinning and, you know, making muslins for... I've got 3 clients there at the moment, so it's quite nice. So...
Making that bank.
Well, not yet, but hopefully soon. But it was good. It was good. It was busy. It was nice, and it was really nice to work with people there who I quite like.
Yeah.
I got to do the whole, you know, kind of designer experience. It was a lot of, you know, let's talk through shapes. Let's talk through what you need. Let's go to the fabric stores there. There are some really amazing ones. Shout out to Leo's. It was brilliant. They also know us there, so it's nice. Like go in and you know. Give that whole kind of industry experience. And one of the customers was a young girl who'd never done anything like this before. And so I think for her, it was really exciting to just like, you know, get to go to all the fabric stores in the fashion district, get to like, you know, have everything draped across her, try everything on, do the fitting.
Adorable.
But it was really cute at the end when I had like a sort of a form for her to try on, if you will, that was kind of adjacent to what she wanted, just in like a heavyweight calico. And she was really excited to try it on. It needed a lot of pinning and shaping, which I looked forward to doing. And then every few seconds she was like, it's itchy, can we take it off? And I was like, we're not there yet, just keep going. It was very cute.
Get through the pain for the beauty.
Yeah, but it was nice, it was good. It was a good few weeks. I had my birthday while I was there, which is a really nice thing. First time in over 2 decades. Like, Lee flew out there to surprise me, which was so exciting. I had no idea, and that was really great until he, you know, called me from the airplane on the way there and was like, where are you? And I thought he was on a train, and then it was like, wait a minute, where are you? And then, you know, a few hours later he showed up at our doorstep. So that was quite nice.
That's so beautiful. I saw him post that on Instagram, my heart melted.
I know, so it was really sweet, really fun, and that was just...
And it's nice to turn 60 with your husband there.
Well, 61.
Oh, I do apologise. Yeah, so close to the bus pass.
Yeah. Bus pass.
Freedom Pass.
Freedom Pass.
Pass.
Is that what it's called?
Yeah, Freedom Pass.
Oh, well, I look forward to it.
Yeah, great.
But you know, it's hard with my skin. No one believes I'm
know. It's so fresh.
Yeah, I did have a conversation with a few friends back home. One of them's definitely listening right now, and but I won't say who it is. And
it's Janet.
It was but you're in the right area. And it was. Are you sure you haven't had Botox? And I was like, yes, we have this conversation every single time. I drink water, I don't smoke, I don't do drugs, I exercise, I don't drink coffee, like, I'm boring, I don't go in the sun because I'll burn to a crisp, like...
You do all the right things.
It's all those things. It's just really funny, guys.
And
so
also,
I had a lot of that,
This is slightly, again, a bit of a tangent, but I do think when you're a positive person... It keeps you more useful.
And I am
you are like Mr. Positive.
I am Mr. Positivity.
Yeah.
But anyway, enough about me. Let's talk to our
Stop
guest.
talking about yourself, honestly.
Well, you brought it up.
I did, to be fair. It's my own cross to bear. Yes, so we have a glorious guest.
Yes.
Welcome to That's So Fashion Pod.
Thank you.
I absolutely love having Dan on because we get to have a wonderful little moment of reconnecting over our mutual experience of destination, but also Dan is a fellow knitter, and it's nice to be around other people, no offence, who knit.
Oh, I don't know how to. I wouldn't even. I mean, this is why we're here.
Well, I mean, I don't know how to crochet, but for those not listening, not watching the video, just listening on to the audio, Dan is currently wearing a cardigan that he crocheted himself. Yeah. That is
stunning,
insane, and stunning. Like the elements to it, there's 3D elements to it. Like there's granny squares. Like it's insane. So we have to start by talking about the cardigan.
Yeah, so I went home at the beginning of January for a week and saw my parents, which was really, really lovely. But I wanted something that was quite easy to make, kind of something that I can take on a plane.
Humble brag.
Kind of man, yeah, just something that's easily transportable. And so I thought granny square is the best way to go about it. And I got a box of these cards a while ago. They're kind of square cards, and each one has different floral crochet patterns on the back of them, so it's like a granny square, like a floral specific one. And so I just I made some changes to some of them, but for the most part it was just from that book and those cards.
But isn't this the first thing you've crocheted?
Well, the first like proper garment I'd say I've crocheted. Like I've done a little bit of crochet here and there. There's a tabard that I've made a couple of for myself that isn't really like a proper full garment, but I have crocheted that with a size 12 crochet hook, I think, and macrame kind of thread yarn. Yeah. But this is the first kind of like proper crochet garment, and I will say I enjoyed it, but I completely underestimated the amount of time it would take to sew all the squares together. You can crochet them all together, so everything is just in a square, and then I combined them to kind of make them the way I needed them to. I will say that I probably won't make another one, but I'm glad I made this one.
It's beautiful.
Oh, thank you very much.
Oh my god, all the detail and all the colours.
Yeah.
It's the 3D elements.
Oh, I know, like the one there with the trio. Like, it's absolutely stunning.
Thank you very much.
As soon as you walked in, I know I said, but I was just drawn to it. And sitting here, I've been looking and I noticed the buttons, or are they just like a overlay?
Yeah, so the buttons are proper buttons. So they come on and off.
Oh, wow.
I saw these buttons first, they were in Liberty, and I assumed they were going to cost me £1,700.
Yeah.
They were just 60p a button, and they're quite
amazing.
sweet. And so I bought a few of them. I originally thought to kind of do a picot border, like a picot edge along the whole thing, like little flowers. And then I started doing it, and it started to look a bit bulky. So I thought, well, what I can do is I can, on each buttonhole, I can crochet, and I crocheted it separately and then sewed them on. A bigger flower that I've then got the smaller flower then kind of sits inside.
It's so beautiful, and that's what I've been looking at, and I was wondering if that was just like a fixed in place, and maybe there was like a press stud underneath.
No,
but I didn't realise. Well, that is beautiful.
The whole goes
through. Beautiful.
So, thank you very much.
But it's like the attention to detail to even do that. Like you've matched it to the button itself.
Yes.
And it has a 3D element which matches the rest of the garment's 3D elements.
Yeah, unfortunately, I'm one of those people that for me, I really enjoy. I'm not a process knitter or maker. I wouldn't say particularly. Like I enjoy something that's more challenging in some ways, I suppose. But for me, it's the making of the thing. And if I don't make it exactly the way I want, I know I'm not going to wear it. There was a brioche knitting, which is a type of kind of springy fabric that you make with like a knitting. I think it's a bit like a fisherman's rib.
Some people call it double knitting, don't they?
Well, double knitting is slightly different. Double knitting, it's a bit like double knitting in the sense that you've got a double-sided fabric, but it looks a bit like a rib. I mean, this is a brioche, so you can kind of see that the stitches look different to kind of
like a trench and a
okay.
So this is a type of kind of brioche knitting. It is a type of double knitting, I suppose. But the way I think of double knitting is like
it's two layers.
Fabric, two layers the whole way up.
That's part of what I did on my masters. I did like a piece that was double knitted, in the brioche knit. But it kind of already has that kind of double-sided feel to it. Which I quite like.
Yeah. So I knitted years and years ago. I knitted this asymmetrical brioche jumper, which I really liked. But there was a single mistake that no one else would have even seen, but it was right here in my chest, and every single time I put it on, I would take it off again because I was like, I'm just going to spend the whole time.
I would do the same thing.
Yeah, I was like,
That's so you coded.
I'm just going to spend the whole time looking at it and I can't do it. And I ended up unraveling the whole jumper and using the yarn for other things because I was like, I'm not going to wear it. So in my head, I'm like, if I don't make it exactly the way I want it, I'm not going to wear this and then it'll all have been in vain. So I might as well just make it exactly the way I want.
Yes, absolutely.
But what a feat of engineering.
Oh, thank you very much.
Oh no, it's stunning. And just as a little note, just because you said about how you wore this one thing and you unraveled and you reused, it's great to repurpose the yarn. But we spoke about this on a previous show, I don't remember when, but years ago, before I even moved to London, my mum bought my dad this sweater in Harrods, and it's a red sweater with these sort of like off-whitish, yellowish like circles on it. And then eventually it became mine, and the dry cleaner ruined it. The yellowish, creamish center right in the center of my chest, because that's when we think of it, had this tiny little faint, almost like they dropped a speck of bleach on it. And you'd think most people wouldn't notice it. And I don't know if you remember me saying, and I thought every time I put it on, it's the only thing that you can see.
Yeah.
And it had to come off until eventually a friend of mine who does embroidery embroidered a big flower over it. And then a few other ones on the garment. And I thought, great. And I've since worn it. But I wasn't able to unravel it and start over again like you were. But it just seemed like such a waste. And the joke is, ultimately, I can't see it when it's on me. I can only see it in the mirror. And how often are you walking around looking in the mirror? But
you're aware of it.
Yes, it's just that notion that it's there. I completely get that. Anyway, please carry on.
And so when I make the things that I make, I always have to make sure that they're right for me. Like I've taught people to knit who will make mistakes and then they'll say, oh, I've kind of lost the will to do it now. You've had to go back 5 or 6 rows, you know. But for me, that's all part of it. Especially if I'm making a jumper that's meant to fit me perfectly, I'll unravel that 6 or 7 times. I there's a jumper I made not that long ago with safety pins on it that I Fair Isle.
I love that.
Knitted in 2 colours. It's got
gorgeous.
It's got safety pins going the whole way around. And I knitted the body of that 3 times before it was right, and that probably was 40 hours maybe lost to knitting and not getting it quite right. So for me, that doesn't really bother me because the wearing it in the end and knowing that it is right is all that matters to me. I don't care if I have to unravel it 40 times. If I want to make this jumper, I will make this jumper. And it doesn't matter how many times I need to do it.
That's kind of the thing I like about knitting, though, is that you say you're not process driven, but actually knitting is kind of process inherently because you have to follow a certain way so you know that it's right. If you don't, like you say, there's that one thing. I did again part of my masters, the pre double knitting piece, the sample piece I did. I was so, as you can imagine, during the masters, like all over the place with a million and one things to do. I was working alongside it, so I was absolutely knackered. So I was double knitting this thing at every moment spare I had. And I was going, and I just did not, and each side was a different colour, that's the point, a very important contextual piece. One was red, one was blue. And I was knitting away, and it wasn't until I'd finished that there was one V that was blue on the red side, and I'm like, and it was really high up. And I was like, I don't have the capacity to redo this, like to unravel this and do it. I'm just going to start again. And that might feel like crazy.
I get that.
But I'm like, I can't, in my mind, it was easy just to start fresh than to pull all of that apart and retry it. So I completely get it, but you kind of have to follow that.
Yeah, especially, I mean, if you're knitting something from a passion, it's very different.
Yeah.
But if you're kind of knitting something that's come from your brain, you know, like I had a lovely, I suppose, I don't know what to call it. It's a bit like a bib that I made a long time ago, and then accidentally, because I didn't realise there was a tiny bit of polyester in the yarn, I gave it too hot a bath in my bath and shrunk it slightly, and so I gave it away, and they wear it and they love it, so that's all that matters. But I'm going to make myself another one and kind of change it and slightly improve it maybe, but I'm knitting this at the moment at home, and I have 3 balls of exactly the same yarn that I've knitted probably that much of, just to kind of test what I actually want to do, and then I'll figure out which one's the best one and then carry on in different gauges, different sizes, you know.
And it's funny, like, I quite enjoy that process, even though it can be really annoying. Of like working out your tensions and like getting it right and going, oh, cracked it.
Yeah.
I can count one.
I truly believe that there are so few things. I mean, crochet is slightly different because it's a denser kind of fabric that you create.
Yeah.
But I truly believe with knitting, there are very few things that can't be solved with a very aggressive blocking.
Yeah.
Like I have made jumpers that do not look like they're going to really fit me well by
beating the hell out of them.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah.
Making them very, very warm and stretching them to within an inch of their life.
Yeah.
You know, like.
Actually, do you know what blocking is?
I was just going to say, blocking, if I recall, is when you would sort of pin your pieces in the shape they need to be, and then use, is it a very hot steam?
So you can do wet blocking, or
Okay.
you can steam. I tend to wet block.
Oh,
gonna say wet
so
blocking
what's
is-
wet blocking?
So what I would do is I usually do it in my bath, and I would use a wool wash, and I would wash the whole garment. I usually wouldn't use too hot. For actual wool, sometimes I do wash it quite warm, because that also helps relax the fibres, so you can really stretch it out. So I will wash it in the bath, and then I will put it on a towel, and I'll roll the towel up.
Oh.
I usually will use 2 towels to try and get as much of the dampness out of it as humanly possible.
Yes.
But still obviously damp to the touch because you're never going to get it all out. And then you pin it out. So I've got kind of those ABC floor tiles that kids have.
Yes.
So it's something a little bit like that. And then I have T-pins, and I'll block them out. I also have blocking wires. So what I would do is I take like the sides of the jumper, and I take the bottom of the jumper, and I thread it's like a steel rod, a long steel rod.
Okay.
And so then, especially if it's a boxy type jumper, it's
Right,
it's
so
quite
it
easy.
gives you that shape.
Then I can have it. They're all, it's exactly the same width. I know the bottom is going to be equal, and then I pin along the blocking wire so that it's so that it's kind of strapped.
It helps determine the shape, really.
Yeah.
Oh
exactly,
wow. Okay.
Exactly.
Okay. Cool.
So wet blocking, I then pin it out, and then just let it dry naturally.
Oh.
And then
I
every time
see.
from then on, basically, I mean, if after about 4 or 5 washes, you probably would need to pin it out again. But most of the time, if you let them dry flat, as you're meant to do with wool anyway, you're absolutely fine. And it keeps the shape then onwards when you hand wash them from then onwards.
So that's very interesting. So as I say, like my limited experience with knitting, I was saying to you earlier before we were recording, is I learned how to knit on a machine because I couldn't use the needles.
Yeah.
And I haven't knit on a machine since I was like 16. I have one, and a ripper and all this stuff. I think we've talked
Which is
about it
almost
before.
criminal that it's not going to
I know
be
it
used.
will one day, but I just it's put away nicely for now.
Yeah.
But I haven't done it since. It's a long time. But I remember when I was being taught to use the knitting machine because again, my hands don't. I mean, I can make you a stained glass window and a pair of shoes, but I can't knit you a cardigan. Like it's a whole thing. But anyway, I was only ever taught to block pinning and using hot steam.
Yeah.
So I didn't realize there was another kind.
Yeah.
But actually, you say about the sort of water, the warm water, and the relaxes the fibers, and that makes perfect sense to me.
So what I would tend to do is I would block it out with warmer water the first time I do it, and then every time since then I'd basically do a cold wash to wash it.
And
that's
that's
sustain.
sort of not to reset what
Exactly.
you've created. Okay, that's really fascinating.
Exactly. So I then wash it in cold water so that
okay.
it will retain that shape that I've made with the original block, and then.
Isn't it interesting, like the little tricks you can do to change the shape of something after you've made it?
Oh, I know, honestly, especially as, again, somebody who's not knit-centric, who really knows very little about it. Although I have a knowledge of fashion and fabric and fibers, I don't know the yarn very well. And I would have just assumed hot water, cold water, it's no different, it's getting wet. I would never think that the cold water doesn't change the shape, like, I guess to a degree.
Yeah,
I
to a
don't know.
degree.
But I for me, that like blows me away. I would never in a million years guess. I just assumed it was always the same thing.
Yeah, but then you have to be careful because in the situation that I was in, where it was 90% wool and
Right.
10% polyester, then if you use warm,
It shrinks.
It'll shrink it.
Once years ago, I had this diesel sweater, which I loved, and then eventually it didn't really fit me very well, and I gave it to my brother because he's a little bit smaller than I am, and he loved it too. And it was like really expensive, and it was really nice. This was like around 1999, gray with this like orange thing. You would have liked it.
Yeah, it sounds like one of mine.
And we always used to like wash everything at home. My parents had a laundry room with like good machinery and a whole station and whatever. And this sweater though would have gone to the dry cleaner because it probably said so in the label.
Yeah.
And it didn't, and it got washed at home. And I kid you not, it was this big.
Yeah.
But like you see these things on TV.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you
But you'd never think it was real. And it was like, well, do we know, like, somebody who just has like a 3 or 4-year-old, can we just give it to them? So, and I think ultimately it did go to somebody who had a kid. But it was just, how, like, does it go from being like a double XL to being like a child's extra small?
I mean, my master's what I did for it was knitwear, and like I've knitted 1,000 things, like I've worked with wool for a long time, but I still shrink things on occasion. Like some things just can't, Sometimes I do it on purpose for the holes. No, like some things you just go, but I did that. What I should have done, everything was right. Like, how is this happening?
Well, essentially, it's like he felt it. Like heat. That's the whole point. There's a very popular. I haven't knitted it myself, and I can't remember the exact name of the pattern. There's a very popular slipper pattern at the moment, knitting slipper pattern, where they knit the slippers and they're literally like this big, and then you stick them on a really hot wash in the washing machine, and it shrinks down to put your perfect shoe size, like your perfect slipper size.
Oh, that's so cool.
It's a really good idea. So you use 100% wool, and then it automatically felts it for you in the washing machine, and then the perfect size. Yeah,
that's clever.
Oh, that's very cool.
But also, I can't imagine the person who designed that pattern how much testing they needed to do in all the sites to make sure that it would then shrink down to the right size and all of that stuff.
Absolutely. And again, not thinking of that at all. I'm just fascinated by what you're saying. That's very cool.
Yeah. You think of like how, like the stress of that person going, okay, that one's not, I've done 3 of these, none of them have worked, let's do another 10.
Yeah.
And then going to like the meeting where they've done it all and go, oh, that's not right, can you change? Yeah. And having to do the whole process again, I can't.
No.
Yeah. Oh wow.
I think it also helps you kind of realise how much planning goes into these things. I mean, with whatever it is, whether it's kind of a kind of indie knitting pattern, or whether it's something that's produced on kind of an industrial scale for high street. The amount of work that goes into all these things is fascinating.
It's just kind of the different levels, isn't it? That you get your home knitter and then like the knit designers, and like they're so far away from each other in terms of like I said, the amount of work that goes into it, the output, the expectation. Someone can just buy a pattern and like knit away while they're watching Coamrey or something. But a knitwear designer lives and breathes it and has to do it 1,000 times over to get it. Like, it blows your mind.
Yeah, it really does.
Absolutely.
Doesn't it? You also have a knit machine.
I do. I have quite a substantial knitting machine actually.
We've spoken about this before. I'm not at all jealous.
Yeah, it's a pass up. It's a really nice knitting machine, to be fair, and I have not used it to its best ability because also it takes up most of my flat. So most of the time it is packed away because it has like a proper stand. It's like the size of a piano essentially. It's big.
Content.
And I can plug it into my computer and I can actually kind of get it to I've never actually got to that point because it's a very temperamental. Knitting machines are temperamental at the best of times. These machines haven't been made since the late 90s. A lot of knitting machines. It's quite rare. Like there are some companies that still make knitting machines, but a lot of them are vintage. Yeah. And so often the parts that you need are 3D printed by some man in some very strange place, and you have to buy them on Etsy, and they take 4 weeks to come. All the parts that you might need, like the plasticky parts especially. Sure. So they're quite temperamental. I've never really had anyone to teach me. No one's ever taught me how to use it. I've just kind of figured it out myself, watched videos, things like that. But sometimes I can knit half a jumper on it in one day, and other times I can try to cast on 40 times, swear, and then leave. Whereas my old faithful hand knitting, I know that I can get a certain amount out in a certain time, Whereas I do find it quite frustrating with the knitting machine because sometimes it just takes hours to get stuff.
Do you think you're reluctant to use the machine for expectation rather than like I want to like tame it kind of thing? You just
I think that the thing is with me is, like I said, I really enjoy wearing the thing afterwards. And for some reason, it's exactly the same way, because I do quite a bit of sewing as well, and it's exactly the same way I feel about sewing, is that because it's electric, or, because it's more industrial in some way, I expect it to be done like that. Yeah. Which is so frustrating to me as a knitter. It's like, I expect to spend 45 hours knitting a jumper,
Right.
Yeah. when I make a pair of trousers, I want it done in 30 seconds because it's electric.
Yeah.
You plug it in, it should be done very
Yeah,
quickly,
yeah,
you know.
yeah,
and it's exactly the same with the knitting machine. I kind of go, why am I not being able to knit a jumper in a day with this thing, you know? And so I think because I'm quite impatient in
I
that
feel
way.
that so strongly.
And I don't know if there's a way around it, but I want to do more experimentation with it. My flat isn't really big enough for me to have it out all the time at the moment. But hopefully at some point I'll be able to have it out and really. But then again, saying that, I did move my flat around and I did have it out for the best part of a year, and I used it about 4 times. So maybe I don't. Maybe I'm just not in the place at the moment to be using it regularly.
Once a quarter, not too bad.
But I'm knitting every day, which is
that's
like
the
hand knitting
difference,
every day. So it's the difference.
I think that's the thing, isn't it? With hand knitting, it's like the convenience levels off the charts because you can take it in a bag, do it on the train, sit there in the evening, watch something like you go
do lunch at work.
Exactly, like it's so transportable. But with a knit machine, it's before you even start knitting, you've got to set up the machine, check that it doesn't need oiling or cleaning, or all the parts are working, and then you've got to set your needles right, and then okay, now let's get the pattern out, and now let's try casting. Like it's a whole rigmarole.
There is, and especially with machines that have some electrics to them as well that pass up with me. Like I'll get everything ready. I think everything's ready to go, and I'll put it in the right place. You have like arrows you need to line up with the carriage and everything. Put everything in the right place. I'll turn the thing on, say right, I want to do this cast on. I'm ready to go, and it'll select the needles for me automatically, which is great. And then I'll just go, nah, something's wrong, and it won't tell me what's wrong. But just something is wrong, and then you go, okay, well, I know I'm gonna have to figure this out now, and then I just think, right, I'll just hand knit it.
Well, if it's that much of a burden, feel free to drop it round here. I would. It's a sacrifice, guys, but I would absolutely take it off your hands.
Do you? Sorry to interrupt, just because I don't want to forget. Do you find, as you were just saying, it's there's this whole process and it doesn't work, and you could just be hand knitting. Do you feel that there are things that you can do by hand that you can't do on the machine, or vice versa, or for you is it kind of transferable?
Good question.
That is a really good question. I think for me, I would consider the machine personally. For me, I mean, obviously the machine I have is a very, very small yarn as well, which is very different to a lot. Like most of the stuff I will knit on 4mm needles, whereas the stuff that you're making on a knitting machine is like lace weight, like it's tiny. A lot of it is very, very small.
So it's delicate.
Yeah, very, very small. But also it could be cotton, it could be whatever. But I would consider for plain knitting, a knitting machine makes so much sense to me because you can go backwards and forwards. Like it's very quick, and you could knit something plain very easily.
So sorry, just so I can understand, like plain isn't like a solid color,
solid
or is
color.
that a type of stitch?
No,
the same stitch.
Yeah, the same stitch. Same stitch. So what is called stocking stitch, which is if you were hand knitting, it would be you knit on one row, you turn around, you purl the other row. Stocking stitch is the V's that you would normally see.
Yes, of course, yeah.
So stocking stitch, so something they call it plain and purl is the old way of saying it as well. So my grandma would always say plain, but when you knit backwards and forwards, something that simple, easy, fine. Cabling. There are machines that can do it. I would never even attempt it, because you're crossing stitches over when you cable to do like an Aran jumper or whatever. Those kinds of things I would never consider. If I was making and I have made things for family members, before, like my sister's got 2 kids, and things that I would make for kids. It's easy going backwards and forwards on a knitting machine. You know exactly what size they are. You want it to be kind of the right size, the right shape, and it's never going to be particularly exciting because they're going to go out of it in 10 minutes. I'm not going to make them something.
Exactly.
Yeah, of course.
So that kind of thing is quite easy to just go backwards and forwards and do it in that way. So I would say I would be, but it's also to do with being confident in it. I would be a lot more confident in my hand knitting. I know my ability is much better in my hand knitting, so automatically.
So then you wouldn't have started out like that. That would have been time and effort. So, do you think that if you did the same level of time and energy for the machine that you did with your hand knitting, that you would get to that level where you're fine in both?
I think I probably would, but I think because the hand knitting came first, especially with problem solving, I would just take it off the machine and I'd put it onto needles and I'd fix it. So I would take it off the needles of the machine and I'd stick normal knitting needles through and I'd fix it that way, because I don't think I would have the confidence to do that. But I think that always, because my default is hand knitting, I think that I would always default back to that. Even if my machine knitting got to a point where it was excellent, I would still probably default to the things I learned.
Interesting.
Well, I suppose hand knitting is like the foundations anyway, isn't it? Because that we've had hand knitting way before machines.
Oh yeah,
So
absolutely.
that skill set to nail that's really key anyway before we even attempt a machine.
Yes.
I mean, I always say I've taught quite a few people to knit now. Actually, I've taught a few people at work recently because a few of the people in my department asked if I would teach them. So we did a few lunchtime things. One of them ended up with a scarf. The other
It's very patient of
are
you.
lacking behind a little bit, but we're still knitting, I think. But I think it's really important, especially when people first learn to knit, to understand how the fabric is made,
Mm-hmm.
because a lot of frustrations I've seen are when people drop stitches and don't really know how to fix it. And that's a big thing, I would say. So to understand how the fabric, how the loops fit together to make the fabric is extremely important. And so the kind of foundation of hand knitting kind of teaches you that from the beginning, like this loop, this loop, this loop, and then it goes through the same loops again, you know.
Because you also did giant versions of knitting as well, didn't you?
I have done huge knitting needles, like 40 mil.
Same.
Before.
And that really kind of helps
Oh wow.
show how it's built. So that's part of my masters. As part of like a bigger
knitted
garment
huge
I was
blanket.
making.
Oh yeah, I think you've shown me some of that before.
Yeah, it's like the blue.
Yeah.
It really helps to illustrate how the stitches fit through each other.
I guess because you're seeing it on a large, you're like looking at it under a microscope.
Very
Oh
nice.
yeah, okay, well that makes sense.
Yeah, it does. It really helps. So often they'll say with people when they're first starting knitting, knit with chunky yarn.
Yeah.
In a plain colour, like if it's variegated, it's a lot more difficult. But a plain colour in a chunky yarn, but something with a twist. Because it's easy to split stitches as well if it's like roving.
Yeah.
So something that's plied and chunky is the best because you can easily see the way that the stitches move through.
That makes sense.
Yeah. So that's what I would always say to people when they first start.
I guess it helps with troubleshooting too. Like you say, if you dropped a stitch, like it's obvious where it is. Whereas if it's something really fine and it's a lot going on, you're less likely to be able to spot it. Oh, that does make sense.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
And as a knitter, the best piece of advice I can give anyone, like the best bit of kit to always have is a crochet hook with you to fix stitches.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
So
okay.
if you think if a stitch is dropped and it falls kind of four or five rows down, you take a crochet hook and you hook the stitch back up to your needle.
Reloop it.
Yeah, reloop it all the way back up to your needle because you'll have
Interesting.
the yarn in between that you can just easily hook back up.
Is the crochet hook that little metal thing with the like floppy? Like is it like a like it has like a little like a separate like hinge?
No.
Thing?
No. Oh, you're thinking of the latch hook.
Yeah.
Oh.
So there's a latch hook that goes like
Yeah,
that.
that's yeah.
Yes, that's a latch hook. That's slightly different. I mean, you could use that to fix your knitting as well.
Is that for knitting though?
Yeah, your
Well, that's the
machine.
similar needles to the machine.
Oh,
So
we
those
used to
are the
have one of
needles
those
that-
my parents' house floating around. And I never knew what it was for. I just assumed it was what you were talking
They
about.
also use those in minuscule versions to fix ladders in tights. I have the most incredible crochet hook, which my mum actually found. I went home and she was like, "Do you have a minuscule crochet hook?" Because my nephew had found it in their conservatory.
Pulled out into a pocket.
Yeah,
Yeah.
It's
Think
absolutely
you're
like,
fine.
it's absolutely like so small. Like
Oh, wow.
and it was my grandma's, and she used it to fix ladders in tights because you get through the wall.
She must have excellent eyesight. Jesus wept.
Oh my goodness, that's very okay. So I didn't know that's what that was.
Yeah.
And I just assumed it was a crochet hook.
Yeah.
I
Because it
got
opens up
older.
the
So it's a
hook
latch
to
hook,
catch
so-
the
Yeah.
yarn and pulls it. Like it's
Yeah.
so clever.
Yeah, they are really cool. So basically,
Interesting.
you open it, you pull it through, and then it closes so that you don't lose it. And
Yeah,
then you,
right.
Yeah, they are
That's
great.
my favourite bit of machines.
Oh.
Yeah,
I love watching that process happen.
The latch hooks.
So that's very cool then.
Yeah, latch hooks are great, but a crochet hook. I mean, a latch hook would work exactly the same, but a crochet hook is fun.
Oh, I see. Okay. Well, now I know the difference.
Here's a question for you.
Yes.
Where do you, because you currently, would you agree that your knitting or now crocheting is more of a, not necessarily hobby, but it's like a step above hobby? Not hobby, that's the wrong word. Like, it's something that you do because you're passionate about it. Where do you see it going? Do you see yourself like maybe starting something that you would then want to sell some pieces, or would you become like a teaching in it properly, or?
That's a very good question, and not one I particularly know the answer to. I would say.
We don't need answers to the
No,
question.
no. I mean, I love knitting, and I really enjoy it. But I think when it becomes industrial, it probably will lose a bit of fun for me. You know, like growing up, I played the piano a lot, and as a younger kid, I was always like, I want to play the piano for a living. Like I want to be a concert pianist. Like up until the age of 17, 18, and then I had to practice so much when I was getting to that age that it started to lose its enjoyment. And I was like, this is not what I want to do for the rest of my life. If I'm going to lose the enjoyment of playing the piano because I have to play it every day for however many hours every day, and I feel like it might be the same with knitting. I don't want it to be a point
Yeah.
where, but also it's the time element of it, you know, like hand knitting these things. Machine knitting is slightly different, and designing things that can then be knitted on kind of automatic machines is very different. But like, it's a cottage industry essentially. It's me knitting, you know, spending however many hours knitting a jumper in my...
Pouring yourself into it,
pouring myself into it, and it takes so much time. I mean, the thing is, people will often say, because they see jumpers in shops, people will say, would you knit me something? And it's like, okay, well, we need to have a chat about this, because if I'm going to pay myself minimum wage, I mean, wool is not cheap.
No.
People used to knit because it was an easy way of kind of making clothes for yourself for not much money. It's not cheap. Like a jumper for me, you're looking over 100 quid's worth of wool before you're starting, and then 40, 50 hours probably, depending on what it is and how big the yarn is, whatever. More time maybe even to make something. And if you're charging, like if you say to someone, look, I'm going to do this for even minimum wage, you're looking at hundreds of pounds for a jumper, and then people kind of go, oh.
I only wanted this one that was a tenner. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So I've seen one in H&M for £12, you know. It's like, but it's being exploited. But there's not conversations right now, but
so they're also doing it on such a large scale.
Oh, yeah.
That they can like hide the profit margins in all sorts of ways, but like when it's the same as sewing, right? When you're creating, I mean, you must feel that conversation all the time.
All the time.
People not really realising just what goes into it.
Yeah, it's very much a thing, and I think in any kind of creative industry, you get that. If you were a sculptor or a painter, if you worked in ceramics, like, you know, I'd really love to have something original by you. I mean, that's a real honor, right? And I would, you know, love to be able to show it off. Okay, amazing. You know, what's your budget? And everybody's budget is their own business. But if you said, like, if I said to you, you know, I would like you to, I don't know, make me a version of this beautiful crocheted cardigan, like, I'm guessing you'd say, yeah, okay, fine, do £800. Like, I would guess. Yeah. But I think most people would think you'd say, yeah, no problem, like 150, 125. Exactly. And it's
I don't think they'd even think that much.
No, I
think you'd be surprised.
No, but I think people would
think less.
Oh, even less? Yeah. Oh, okay,
I think people would think like 50 quid.
Yeah.
Oh, well, that's even
crazy. People really don't think that they think one, they think you can just knock it up.
Yeah.
And two, they think, oh, well, it's just a bit of wool, isn't it?
I know, it's just a weekend's work for you.
Exactly, They just don't understand it.
So I think for me, I mean, of course I would love to live in a world where I could, you know, support myself by making things, you know. And I've been lucky in the past to have had people commission me to sew things, to make things for them, and I really enjoy that. And I suppose building that would be kind of the best way to do it. But then also it's finding, you know, people who kind of are willing to pay the money that it really costs to make these things, you know, like Absolutely. The value of them as well. And do that full time. But
you do raise a very good point, which is something we have spoken about in another episode. About creative burnout, whereas like there is the never-ending creative conundrum, like that kind of, what's the phrase for, I can't think of what that word is right now, but where it's like a chicken and egg scenario. You want to do what you want to do because you love doing it, but then when you need to industrialize it or monetize it, it becomes so relentless. Like, oh, now because I'm now doing it to live, I feel forced, and now it's taking it's like every joy out of it that I completely relate to that on such a level.
And exactly. I mean, I would love to be in a position where I could do that, but unfortunately, I mean, I enjoy the creativity so much. Yeah. But I need to have at the moment anyway, I need to have a corporate job so that I can then, you know, support myself to, you know, live in London and be able to spend, you know, 120 quid on wool for a cardigan if I want to make a cardigan, you know, all of that kind of stuff. I'd love to live in a world.
We're basically living the same life.
I was going to say, we've had that conversation before. You work your corporate job and you do your House of Wincott. I mean, it's you try to find that balance. Sometimes you can find that balance, and other times you can't. One month you may be knitting every day, and then another month you may not even be able to pick up your needles. I mean, it is just part of that grind, right?
I mean, my way around that, of the not doing it to burnout level, is I take the option out. So when people, I don't necessarily take, I suppose you'd call it commissions, but say, can you make me X? I just make what I want to make, and then that's what I will sell. Right. So it's like the other way around.
Yeah, interesting.
And that to try and, because I was very, very conscious of like, what business model would work for me that's not going to kill me. And I think the only way around that is to take the choice from other people away. Because people don't necessarily know what they want, and if they do know what they want, they don't understand how much it costs to make,
Yeah.
the energy it takes to go into it, alongside doing a corporate gig, and if I was to do it full time, it's the whole thing.
Yeah.
So that's why I've gone for the model I've gone for. But it's such a knife edge as a creative.
I think as well, knitting is. I mean, it's the same as sewing patterns, I suppose. But knitting is there's a difference between making things to fit a specific human.
Yes.
There's something that's so lovely about. I have a really good friend who I made an outfit for her to go to the Brit Awards last year, which was really incredible. And she rang me up a couple of weeks before she was going, and she was like, "I've looked everywhere for something to wear, and I can't find anything I really want to wear. Would you make something?" And I said, "Oh yeah, I suppose in 2 weeks. Yeah, okay, I'll do something." And then she was like, "Oh, and I want to come and find fabric with you. So do you mind if we do it next Saturday?" It's like, okay, so
Gosh.
so 8 days.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah,
that's fine.
Blood pressure going through the roof.
Yeah.
And it was great, and it was a really enjoyable experience. I mean, I was sewing like into the night because she wanted so much tulle, like black tulle, so much of it. I was sewing so often, like just constantly for that week.
More sewing than sleeping.
But seeing her wear it and really enjoy it, and actually when she put it on, she cried and she was like, "I haven't felt this beautiful in a long time." And it was absolutely incredible, and I would do it again in a heartbeat,
Yeah.
But it's those kinds of things that make me really enjoy doing the things I do. And like if I can, supplement my income by doing that kind of thing every so often, then I'd love to do that. And like I said, ultimately I would love to do it permanently. But then you have the other side of this, which is, Tilly Buttons, for example, who was on Sewing Bee and then has made a very good career for herself making sewing patterns. But then you're selling those to people. So knitting patterns is another way that you can do it. I mean, I was commissioned by Sheepy, a Dutch wool company, to write a pattern for their book a while ago, and I did in seven different sizes, and that was a baptism of fire because grading pattern sizes for knitting is not something I'd ever done before. And actually, they had a very good tech editor who looked over my work, and she was like, "I'm very surprised this is the first time you've done it because this is quite coherent." And I was like, sorry to all my maths teachers who I said I would not use standard deviation in the rest of my life. I used it a lot during that knitting pattern to find like sizes of the because no one's body is the same.
No, of course not.
No, of course.
And this is the thing.
It's finding the best middle ground, isn't it?
Yeah, and this is one of the things that I love so much about making something for an actual human. Like when I knit jumpers for myself, I make them to fit me and to suit me. Like I know what my shape is, and I know how to make things that suit my shape.
Yeah.
And that's what I really enjoy, making someone feel special for exactly how their body is, and
That's exactly what House of Wincott's about, and I'm relating so hard to you right now. That's the key to it, and I've always thought it should always take us back to a point of connection.
Yeah.
Like we're wearing something because we want to feel something, not because H&M
say it's in at the moment.
Or like some big company. Not that I don't like those things.
No.
Like we all have something in our wardrobe, but where's the love? Wouldn't you have a reaction like her crying because she loved what you made?
Yeah, it was lovely.
Oh, warms my soul.
I think as well, a big thing for me is making things that suit people of every body type, because that's a huge thing. I mean, so much, especially knitting patterns, I found specifically as well. So much of it, they just blow up the size. When you get bigger, it's literally just a multiplication of stitches essentially, and you end up with something boxy that doesn't fit people properly, And when I design things, I'll always design from the biggest down. Because to me, if I can make it fit the biggest person, it's going to be really easy to fit the person who's the smallest.
That's very interesting.
Very logical.
So
totally different than making like woven clothing like on a machine.
Yeah. So I will always think if I can make something, because the maths for making the biggest size is always going to be more complicated. Because especially for women, I mean, if you're a bigger size for a woman, you're also going to tend to have a bigger chest as well, and then you need to have shaping under the chest, all that kind of thing. So that is always going to be the most complicated, making the biggest size, and then everything else will be simpler as I go down in size. So that's the way I've always done it, because I always feel as well, and I have published a few knitting patterns, but I always feel that if I can make the biggest one fit the best, then I've kind of solved the problem further down the line, because I think that that's a massive niche in knitting, is that when you knit the bigger patterns, not across the board, but especially there's a very big kind of mood at the moment in knitting for like Scandinavian, Scandi clean aesthetic knitting patterns, and often the sizing is people have just multiplied it and it doesn't look good on bigger sizes. I made something for a friend who is a size 10, 12, but has quite a large chest, and she said she saw this pattern, she said, "I really love this, I want you to knit it for me," and I knit it for her, and it just dropped off like a shelf.
Oh.
And there was no shaping whatsoever, and so I basically had to redesign that pattern
Right.
from the beginning.
Wow.
Essentially, so we
got
got to the chest, and then
Yeah.
I did the shaping myself because it needed to fit her nicely.
That's skill, that is.
I was just
Real
going to
skill.
say, but then you've got the tools to be able to do that. Not everybody does, which
Yeah.
is pretty amazing. And
Yeah.
it's nice to hear how you can apply those skills with, say, something like a store-bought pattern that
Yeah.
you're able to adjust.
But that's why I mentioned about where you want to go with that with your knitter, because that can't be wasted. That level of skill, you know, that's got to be utilised in a way that still brings you passion.
Yeah, I think that, to be honest, for me, possibly, and I've dabbled in it a little bit. I think possibly the way forward for me might be to design knitting patterns, as like hand knitting patterns that do kind of deal with specific size and fit from kind of inclusive.
Yeah, I
fit.
absolutely
There's got to
think
be a
patterns.
market out there for
Yeah,
it.
I think
there
there is.
must be.
I think it's probably changing with the Ozempic, I suppose, but
I don't know.
I think there definitely is. I think, and I have kind of plus size friends who say, you know, knitters as well, who say that they don't really make jumpers for themselves because they tend to not fit them very well. They'll make jumpers for other people. Like
I think we've cornered it.
No, but there's definitely a market for that. I mean, generally, sort of, you know, I don't know what the PC term is, but patterns for clothing or knitting that aren't for your sort of average shapes.
Well, there should be more sizing.
No, of course there
Definitely,
should
yeah.
be, and I mean we all, you know people or are people or are affected by it. I mean it's not unheard of.
No.
But you know, you go into department stores, they don't carry plus size clothing. You go into boutique stores, they don't carry plus size clothing. You go to look for sewing patterns, they typically don't carry plus size. It's a
Well, I think there's a problem with generally across fashion, isn't it? Whether it's knitting or sewing.
yeah.
Like,
So
they're just not thought of.
I mean, I
No.
think the thing that a lot of people come to making their own clothes, especially nowadays, I think a lot of people come to clothes because they want to make something that suits them, fits them well, you know.
Yes.
But still, there's this disparity between, you think, oh, I'm going to the shop, oh, there's not something in, you know, my size because I'm a bigger size, you know, whatever. But then you think, oh well, if I sew it myself, it'll be fine. But often it's actually not.
yeah.
There are some great websites and great companies that do kind of really good size inclusive patterns. Fabric Godmother go all the way up to size 30 in some of their patterns now, and I think a lot of their patterns that they're now doing are like a full range.
Oh really?
I think from now onwards, there's some of their patterns all the way up to size 30, which is absolutely fabulous.
Yeah, it's great.
And then have alterations within the patterns for whether you have a fuller cup or a
Amazing.
smaller cup.
Yeah.
It
Which-
should be like
exactly,
that.
exactly. And the thing is, obviously there's a lot of work that goes into that, you know, but it's not like you're already doing that work for the rest of it, so why not add like someone with a fuller bust? You know, it doesn't
Exactly.
take that much. Like,
No.
obviously there's a lot of what I'm not trying to diminish the work that goes into it. you
No,
know,
of course not.
But
No.
to take an extra 2 hours making something fit someone with a fuller bust or a smaller, why would you not do that?
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
Absolutely.
and I understand that these big pattern companies have like they have to churn these out left, right, and centre, you know,
Yeah.
and I understand that, but I genuinely think that these things would be more profitable for them if
I
they
was just
spent the
gonna
time
say.
to sit
Yeah.
and actually figure out a wider range of body sizes. Like, do you have longer legs? Do you have shorter legs? You know, all of that kind of stuff. And usually it's just a line on a sewing pattern that says, you know, elongate here. You know,
Yes.
elongate here if you want.
Exactly.
But that's not right for everyone. You know, some people are longer at the top half of their legs than the bottom. You know,
Yeah.
all kinds of things.
It's more business savvy to be as inclusive as possible because then more people are able to
Yeah.
use it.
Well, exactly, and ultimately your reach is better.
Yeah.
I think intentionality is
Numbers
very
game.
important, and I think that if people, even people who aren't plus size, but if people see a pattern maker who is deliberately kind of going out of their way to make things more inclusive, that would make me more likely to
Oh,
buy
exactly.
something.
Oh,
you know?
me too.
Yeah.
I
It's more
completely
ethical.
agree.
Yeah, morality, isn't it?
Yeah, well, absolutely. And ultimately, I mean, if we're trying to, you know, live in a world where people are considering more inclusivity and people are making more clothes and thinking about the environment and repurposing fabrics and yarns, like, you need to be able to offer that to everybody. If you can't, you're not really doing much, are you?
No.
No, you're just kind of serving the basics.
You know, it can be very discouraging as well.
Yeah.
I mean, there are certain shops that I love that now, you know, I mean, I'm slightly heavier than I was before. I'm very happy with my body type, but I can't go into them anymore because they don't make clothes to fit my size. And I have giant feet, and I've always struggled to find shoes because they don't make shoes to fit my size. Like, it can be very discouraging.
Yeah, I think as well it's one of those things, like I will often go into shops knowing that things won't fit me, but I might find inspiration, you know.
Yeah, yeah.
And sometimes I walk into shops as well, and people will look me kind of up and down, like, basically, why are you here? You
Yeah,
know,
yeah.
you're not going to be able to fit into any of this stuff.
So rude.
Yeah, but I use it as a way of kind of going around looking, and you get ideas for all kinds of things.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And but then I'm lucky in the sense that I have the ability to then go away and make those fit me and make them look nice, or fit a friend. Whereas unfortunately lots of people don't have that.
Yeah.
But I think to bridge the gap between that, some will be onto huge amounts of money to be able to bridge that gap.
Well, there you go. That's you.
Well,
Well,
I don't think it is me. I don't think it is me.
That is.
I don't think I have the time.
You've clearly demonstrated the skill.
Yeah.
But that is actually a very good point to switch over to your glorious, what you call new feature that you've coined, Question Corner.
Oh yes, right.
Because one of the questions is, what is the biggest challenge you faced? And I feel like maybe it's that.
Yeah, I mean I think that's a good example. I think it is. I think a lot of people come to making their own clothes, because they want something that fits them well. And I mean, no one is a standard size. No one is any of the standard sizes. You could find 400 women who are a size 10, and there will always need to be alterations. Like if you were a tailor and you stood there and you looked, okay, well you could take it in there, you could do that. There's no one that is going to fit that perfectly.
No,
I mean,
exactly.
any time. So I think that is a big thing. I think a lot of people just want to feel good, and I think so many people, especially people of bigger sizes, tend to drown their clothes in fabric. I mean, for a long time, I've been bigger for quite a long time now, almost a decade really. I was a lot skinnier, like very, very skinny when I was younger. But I, for a long time, thought skinny jeans are going to make me look thinner. But actually, my baggiest, like the trousers that made me look baggy, are the ones that suit me best. The ones I always thought like a taper at the bottom because it made my leg look thinner. No, actually. So, but I think that a lot of it is kind of give and take and working these things out for yourself. So I think the biggest challenge I face is I have already kind of done that work in myself for finding things that suit my body, but then being able to apply that to kind of, I suppose, monetize it in a way for a business and help other people feel the way that I do. And like I said, like the thing with my friend making that outfit for her and her feeling really great in it really made me think, actually, this is something that I love doing. And
loved it, but also are good at,
wow.
Which is half the challenge, I feel like, in this kind of like corner of making, because skill really does count for a lot. You can do something and be right at it, but if you've got genuine skill, that helps you achieve the goal of making people feel good.
Yeah, I suppose.
So that's an excellent answer.
I'm being very British about it.
You're being too humble. As people, I'm sure, have clocked on by now, I'm anything but subtle or humble.
This is very true.
So I will champion you for you and say you've got the skill, you've got the gumption.
The audacity, they call them.
Exactly. I love that you clocked. Thank you. Let's not hide our light under bushels and let's just go for it, shall we? So thank you very much. I think actually the biggest challenge you faced is realising your own talent.
Okay, well that's very kind. Thank you.
So
Let's move on.
Let's carry on. The uncomfortable nature is great for me, right? It's very fun. Well, we've not got long left of the episode, so we've got time for some quick fire. One question that we've already covered because it was, do you just hand knit? You mentioned that you have a machine that you're going to give me at some point. And you need to get your machine out more. Thank you very much. Oh my god, should we have a knitting circle? Let's get our machines out and pray to the knitting gods.
Yes, please.
And the other one was, how did you get into knitting?
Yeah, so my grandma taught me when I was a kid. So my grandma is an incredible hand knitter. She's still with us. She's 96.
Oh wow!
Yeah, unfortunately, she's not been very well, and so she doesn't knit anymore. But for a long time, she's an incredible knitter. One of those people, like, we could watch a double omnibus of Midsummer Murders, and she'd have a jumper knitted by the end of it.
Oh my god!
Never had to look.
Superhero.
Yeah, absolutely incredible. And she's knitted from a very young age, so she taught me to knit. My dad was very ill when I was a kid, and on the Isle of Man, the medical treatment, you tend to come across to the mainland to the UK to have treatment. So my dad spent a lot of time in Liverpool, and my mum with him, and so I lived with my grandma. And so she taught me to use a sewing machine, basics, but she taught me to use a sewing machine. She taught me to knit. Yeah. But she'd never teach me to crochet because she said it was for the hippies. So I never actually learned to crochet.
And here you are on a granny square cardigan.
I've repeated this to my mum, and my mum didn't remember her ever saying that to me. But then she said, well, that makes a lot of sense, because her sister-in-law, who they were great friends, to be fair, my great aunt Gisela, her house was covered in crocheting. And so my mum actually said that it was more of a comment probably on her sister-in-law than anything. But then she said, well, actually, she tried to crochet and she couldn't. So I think it also might have been a tinge of jealousy. I don't know. But
Calls coming from inside the house.
but
Wow.
yeah, exactly. But yeah, she taught me to knit, and we'd start off, and it'd end up being a triangle. She'd cast me on 20 stitches, and I'd end up with 4 at the end, and there'd just be holes all the way through. And she always used to say, it's just pulling loops through loops, which technically it is just pulling loops through loops, but it's not that it's not that easy.
Yes.
There's all kinds of other things that go into it. Yeah, so she started me off when I was a kid. I'd say probably 7 maybe, and I probably did a little bit, scarves, hats, things like that, until I was a teenager, and then I thought, I'm too cool for this. I definitely was not too cool, but at the time, I considered myself too cool. Yeah, and then when I went to university, I used to read to relax, and then I was studying English literature, and suddenly it's like a conveyor belt of books, 1.5 books a week that I had to read, essentially. And so I needed something that relaxed me again, and I was like, just pick up knitting, and then just kind of went from there again, and now
Amazing.
And so I finished uni in 2015, so yeah, over 10 years ago now, and I'm just kind of
wow, you haven't
knitted
looked back.
solidly.
Wow, that's fantastic.
But I'm also a bit of an obsessive, like I don't do things in halves.
Yeah.
So like once I started, I locked in.
Yeah.
Like it's exactly that my mum she will probably listen to this and she will hate me having mentioned it. But when we were kids, I think she has some kind of maybe undiagnosed attention disorder. But
Shout out to your mum.
Yeah, yeah, great. It runs in the family. It's absolutely fine.
Yeah.
But like as a kid, she decided she wanted to learn to play the bowrin, the Irish drum.
Oh yeah.
And she would lock herself in a room and just have Irish music on, and she'd do it for like 8 hours at a time, like genuinely without even blinking, without drinking, going to the loo, anything like that. And I have inherited that trait, so I will happily, like, I have thankfully some friends who will check on me. Like I'll say I'm going to sew today, and then I'll get a message at like 2 o'clock being like, did you eat? Have you been to the loo? Did you have any water?
Classic.
It's like, no, not done any of those things, but I will do now. So thanks for telling me.
Maybe you need to set alarms.
Yes.
I'll ignore them. I just click them off, carry on going.
Do you know what? In my house, we call it focus.
Yeah.
Because I'm more that way.
Yeah.
So
That is actually a very good thing.
I understand. Yeah. Although I will use the washroom and I will have a glass of water next to me, but I will be focused on something.
Yeah.
And there is no world around
No,
me.
exactly. I lock in. Like I was, for my work Christmas party, I made myself a kilt.
Amazing.
Which it was actually quite a thick wool actually. I really enjoyed making it. But all the pleating, like I lost a whole day. Like I was doing it. It was early December. I was kind of alone in my flat for days at a time, and I would come home in the evening and do it. And there was a whole weekend where I just pleated, and it would get to like 10 o'clock at night, and I'd be like, I can't see. Like my eyes are so tired. Like, and I would have started because I'm one of those humans that I go to bed at whatever time and I'll be up at 6 o'clock in the morning regardless.
Oh,
like,
I'm the same.
I don't sleep in. Like it just doesn't work for me.
Yeah.
Like I've tried. And it just doesn't happen. I've always been that way. Even as a teenager, I wasn't sleeping in, just awake. And so I'll just start. And then I won't finish until it gets to a point where I'm like, oh, I need to eat. Like I'll sit, like suddenly my tummy will go like, oh, I've not eaten today, and it's like 8 p.m. and I've not had anything at all.
We're the polar opposite in the I make sure I have breaks. I feel I suffer if I don't. Like what I'm doing
Suffers.
I will either make mistakes that I'll be really annoyed at, or it'll be shit, or like I have to have breaks, or I'll my brain will just not tune out. It's the wrong word, but like not running at optimum because I've not fed it or I've not watered it or I've not
which makes sense.
Yeah.
I mean, I know for myself, like when I'm working, whether it be for a customer or for myself or whatever the reason is, unless I have no option, all machinery has to be switched off by 10 p.m.
That's a nice idea.
Because otherwise, whatever goes on after that point is too risky.
Yeah.
Especially if I'm working on something that is for a client.
Yeah.
Exactly that.
There's no reason to risk damaging or sabotaging your own work, I feel.
Overtiredness.
Correct.
Yeah.
But hand sewing different,
Knitting,
preparing things different, but machinery
Yeah.
has to be switched off.
That's a very good point, like having a switch off.
Yeah.
Like hand knitting, I could hand knit into the night though. Like I could do it.
But as creatives, like that's also something that is quite common, isn't it? Like where you get into the fever of it, and you suddenly, oh my god, 7 hours has gone.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
absolutely.
That's why I'm like I have to force myself, otherwise I will not sleep.
Oh yeah, when I do my portraits, I paint as well, and I might be sitting there for 10 hours.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But I'm loving every minute of it.
Yeah, no, I do as well, and it's only at the moment at which I kind of realise that I've not done anything. That everything hits me all at once. You know, I'm going to need to use the loo to drink something.
Yeah.
It's like there'll come a point when my body will go, actually, we need you to pay some attention now.
Yes, absolutely.
We're shutting down actively.
Yeah.
Do you feel? Okay, this is an added question, but then we'll finish up. That having, because we're both corporate girlies and creatives at the same time, do you feel that you have to restrict getting into that mode actively of like losing time, because otherwise you won't sleep and then that might affect work?
Oh, that's a good question.
That is a very good question. Actually, I tend to do, so it depends on the craft, is what I would say. If it's knitting, you know, if it's crochet, if it's embroidery, in the evening, that is my way to relax.
Yeah.
And I'm quite good when I have obligations of stopping. But it's like at the weekend, if I have no plans on Saturday and Sunday, it can just go the whole way through, basically. So that's the difference. But Sunday evening, I will always go to bed at a normal time. Like I am very much in my routines of those things.
Yeah.
Like during the daytime, it's amorphous. It can be amorphous. You know, sometimes like from wake up to going to bed can just be anything at the weekend.
Yeah.
But during the week, I have exactly the same routine. I do the same thing every day. So for me, that's quite good, and I kind of switch off. You know, like I'll usually come home. I said most evenings I will do 2 hours of craft. I would say that, but that's switched off craft. That's not like machining. Machining usually I will do at the weekend. Like if I'm sewing, it'll happen at the weekend. I don't feel like getting the machine out, threading everything, getting everything ready. I end up doing like an hour of sewing, and I never feel like it's enough. And I also like to spread everything out. You know, like get a big table out, sit and do everything.
Create chaos.
Yeah, exactly. So with knitting, it's something I can easily. Like I always have my knitting bag. I've got like a project bag that I have with me. I take it to work every day. I just open it up. Like wherever I am, doctor's surgery, train, tube, whatever, just get out and knit.
Nice. Yeah. So you have that kind of work switch off mode.
Yeah.
That's kind of what I've tried to nurture.
I have to be, because there's no point. Like I write for a living. Like and so there are some days where I feel like I'm more productive. I write best than others, you know. And I could do one day and write huge amounts, and then the next day have a bit of an off day, you know. But I am quite good at switching off, kind of compartmentalizing, because I would not be able to do the creative stuff if I lost my corporate job. So
exactly, that's why I asked, because you want one to feed the other, but one can disrupt the other. So
that is my main goal is to my main thing is sacrosanct. That needs to be protected at all costs, because that's the reason I can do all this other stuff. You know?
Exactly that.
So I have to switch off at that time, because then I can do all the creative stuff that I want to do as a result.
But it's a tough gig.
Yeah.
I've got the show that I've mentioned at the end of March, and I have no choice but to finish day job, eat, start my creative endeavours. So that's why I wanted, because we have to be conscious of day job's calling, I've got to go to bed. Interesting. I think that's quite a positive note to end on, actually. Like the ability to compartmentalise and focus on one to feed the other. Yeah. Nice.
Absolutely.
Anything else you...
No, I think it's just been really fascinating hearing a bit about your story, how you began, what you do, your skills. I mean, as I said to you, these are things that I know very little about. And so it's just information, not overload, but information enjoyment. It's been quite nice.
But also having a guest such as Daniel is we could literally chat for hours.
Oh my god!
Between us three, we can get lost in it.
Yeah,
that's why nice. I'm calling it, because otherwise we're not going to stop.
Yeah, well, we'll just have to have him back.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes. But also, I think our creative mentalities align quite well. I think we can have a little cute collab on House of Wincott. That'd be great. That'd be...
Love that for you.
I think that'd be cute.
Yeah, I think that'd be great.
So...
Something knitted.
I'm going to blend the two. I think that'd be cute. Like, you do what you want to do to match what I've done. Yeah.
Some intarsia, some nice colour work.
Yeah.
With maybe some motifs.
Yeah.
Maybe. Interesting.
Guys, it's popping off. But thank you so much for coming on the pod. Genuinely,
amazing.
loved. So happy you come on the pod.
Thanks
and
very
I
much.
thoroughly enjoyed it. Well done. I know that everyone listening, watching, however you're digesting this episode, has been a gag the entire time at everything you've said. But that's the episode. Episode 2 of season 3. Join us. I know I with so many seasons in, I'm getting confused on the
season
numbers.
3, episode 2 complete.
Yes. Thank you
Join
very
us
much.
next time for season 3, episode 3.
3
of,
of 3.
Of
Of.
what's our thing called?
Oh, of. That's so fashion.
There you go.
I thought you were talking about of another 3. I'm like, what?
No.
What more numbers do we need?
That's all right.
No, yes, but thank you for listening and joining it along. And if you have any further questions post episode for John, myself, or Dan, reach out, message us. We can be posting up a storm as always. Absolute pleasure. Well, next couple of episodes, we're going to keep the guest train rolling.
Yes.
Got a few gems which we won't be able just yet, but they're going to be golden. And for me, that's the episode.
I know. I think we've done well. Thank you, everybody.
Thanks very much.
Yes. Bye.